dodging life's strays. Diving out the gutter, I am real like the fray. Wrapped in shadow, but they shine like noon. For hearts beating, sink with the.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the King's Effect podcast, season 1, episode 8. I'm very excited to have Gregory here. He is a men's mental health life coach. So introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do, and then we're going to get into some of your personal struggles that maybe you might struggle with as a life coach and how you navigate it in helping others.
Sure. So my name is Gregory Coates. I am a certified life and mental health coach. I'm also a behavioral specialist. I specialize in OCD and anxiety. I just started accepting clients as of yesterday. So I just started my own business. I'm an entrepreneur as well. It is called Blue Life Coaching. Blue stands for Bountiful Living Utilizing Empathy. I came up with the whole name myself. I'm the CEO and founder of that business. So that's pretty much me.
So
I'm from,
Philadelphia, born and raised.
born and raised, Philly.
So before we get into like the heavier questions, I wanted to take it back. What was your childhood experience like growing up as a Black man without getting too personal? What was some of the things that you would see in Black households between your mother and father? You don't have to get too deep, but just like, what was that dynamic? Did you have a father? Did you grow up in a 2-parent household? What was that like?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jamaican American. My parents are both from Jamaica, so they're still together at this point, which is a blessing. So I've grew up with them all my life at this point, and the family dynamics has been pretty good for the most part. My childhood, it was a bit of a struggle because of my sexuality, and then of course me being a Black man. So it's a bit different when it comes to navigating that, especially with the Caribbean family. So a lot of ups and
Very
downs.
strict, I imagine.
Yes, extremely strict, very much in denial. They had to come to terms with, you're our son. We love you for who you are. We know you're not going to get into any mess or any craziness. We've raised you better than that. We know that you're going to do good in this world. So eventually they accepted me, and it was good from there. I've been bullied most of my life when I was a child. I was made fun of my voice. Maybe the way I walk or just my mannerisms would seem too feminine or something like that. So it definitely made me very insecure as a human being. And I kept myself sheltered and very reserved from society and just the public, because I didn't want to, I guess, showcase my true personality, because I guess after all of the bullying and things of that nature, it really was difficult for me to make connections. I was able to make some friends, but the bullying definitely took a toll on me in many ways. But fast forward, I was able to just really embrace myself and really love on myself and just look in the mirror and say, you know what, why am I so afraid to just come out and just be me? And really just express who I am, because nothing really changes. It's my sexuality, whatever the case is. I don't really identify with my sexuality too much. I just look at myself as a child of God, and prayer just been really helpful. Me really staying in prayers and looking for guidance and counsel from my Lord and Savior has been really a pivotal moment in my life, and has been a constant in my life where I'm able to be vulnerable and showcase that it's okay for me to cry, and it's okay for me to be vulnerable and open up. Just be like, you know what, let me just embrace all parts of me without any shame or guilt and go from there.
I can relate to you on certain levels, because I grew up in a very dysfunctional household, and my auntie quit crime boy. I used to always get into fights with a boxer. He's a famous boxer now, but I'm not going to say. He went to elementary with me, and he would always pick on me and call me names, because I had a very soft spoken voice when I was young. So it's not as deep or inflection like you see right now.
Yes, exactly.
It was more soft spoken, and the kids called me a lot of names as well too. And you really internalize that, and then you start to say, is something really wrong with me? Is this normal? You question yourself. You have a lot of identity crisis. And I think that Black men, Black young boys, they need more representation in their life. They need to be able to see things outside of the hood, or they need to be able to see things that is going to be a well-rounded person, instead of just being isolated in the hood environment. And given that you may not have a choice when you're young, it is what it is. But I think that if I would have had a choice of where I lived at, I think things would have been a lot better for me. But you can't change your circumstances, obviously.
Not at all.
But it made me a whole lot of stronger person as being somebody that likes to just speak their mind a lot. I was very quiet when I was young, and I let a lot of things slide. Just
Sounds like
because
me.
I let a lot of things slide
Whatever.
that I shouldn't have.
Yes.
And then when you get older, you start to internalize that, and you start to work on yourself to be a best version of yourself. And whatever flaws you had as a child, you're like, this is me now, and I'm going to deal with what it is. Because I think a lot of people in the Black community maybe have struggled with their sexuality and stuff like that. And that's not something that people talk about a lot. So I'm kind of glad you brought that up. And that kind of leads me to my next question is, why do you think there is so much stigma around Black men being strong and man up and don't talk feminine and stuff like that? Why do you think there's so much hatred and bigotry around that?
Yeah, so I call it the man box. It's very a social construct where us as men, we're so conditioned to be put in this box where if there's an inkling of us going outside of that box, like peeking out a little bit just to be a little bit vulnerable and showcase some type of feelings, then that's looked at as wrong. You're condemned immediately. Why are you doing this? And you should be a man like this. You shouldn't be talking about stuff like this, or you showcasing these types of feelings. What does that even mean? Like, you're basically telling me to suppress these natural human characteristics or human traits that every human being possesses. We all have feelings. We experience feelings of sadness, happiness, anger, frustration. But you're telling me I can't express any type of emotions when it comes to that. And I think specifically for men, when it comes to crying or just expressing themselves, I want you to cultivate a space where I'm able to express myself as a man, because we're looked at as very aggressive and we just want to fight everybody that we see. All this pent up aggression and all these emotions are just like very suppressed and pushed down because society has conditioned us to stay to ourselves, be a man and just do manly stuff and go about our day, work and do whatever we need to do to save face, knowing that I'm putting on this mask right now so that no one really knows what I'm really struggling with mentally. And so that's where your mental takes a toll on you. It's very overwhelming for you to really engage in society in a more productive and healthier way. Now I'm navigating in a state of mind where I'm always angry. I can't showcase my feelings because society in the world, or maybe girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, have told me you can't do that, or that's not something that's what's the word I'm looking for? It's something that we're not really aware of in a sense. So for me, I'm very vulnerable. I've never been one to suppress my feelings. There's been times when I was younger where I was able to sweep things under the rug, but I've grown to learn that I can't always do that. I need to speak up for myself, advocate for myself, and be a true leader where it's great to see a Black man express himself and really showcase those types of feelings. And I know back when I was younger, my dad was definitely one of those macho, masculine men where he's telling me, man up and stop walking like that and walk straight. And this is
Put
that.
some bass in your voice and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, it was a lot of those invisible whips
Mhm.
that whip me into shape or straighten me up in a sense. It definitely took a toll on me, and I just noticed certain things when I was younger. Is I try to be more cognizant of my voice and how I speak and
Mhm.
how I'm walking, especially when I'm around them. And sometimes it happens a little bit even to this day. So I'm just like, what am I doing? So I've been
You're
so
free to be
conditioned.
yourself. It don't matter no more.
Yes, right. So I'm like, I can't believe I'm still going through that and still that's in my head. I need to talk a certain way. I feel like I'm a little bit more free. I'm free from those chains a little bit more, but it's so ingrained in my mind because it's been happening for so long that I still feel the need to do certain things around them so that they're comfortable, when in all actuality, I should be comfortable within my own self and just knowing that they love me for who I am. So it doesn't matter what's going on, whatever the case is, but I'm still really conditioned to put myself in the shape and be like, all right, straighten up, Greg, and don't talk like this and stuff like that. So I'm still very aware and conscious of what I say around my family and how I present myself. But they know who I am, know what I stand for. And again, like I said, they don't have no worries and are accepting. But it definitely was difficult growing up and knowing that I was like, ooh, this is really difficult for me to manage. So It was like another one of my struggles with my parents, and just going back to my childhood, because I'm just thinking of this different stuff.
Mhm.
Besides society bullying me, my parents bullied me a little bit in a sense, now that I'm talking about it. And so that was really difficult for me to manage. And trigger warning, just for viewers, I definitely contemplated suicide and just didn't know which direction to go into. I'm just ruminating constantly. Why am I here on this earth? What is my purpose? Why is society condemning me? I just didn't have all the answers. So I'm just constantly at night for hours, just thinking, staying up at night. What am I going to do? How am I going to die by suicide and figure that whole
Mhm.
plan out? What's my plan? So that was always a
And
conversation in my mind.
and just so we're clear, like, I always have this conversation with my friends. People don't actually want to X themselves or kill themselves. They just want to be happier with their circumstances. And the thought of actually going through with actually Xing yourself is really daunting. I don't think a lot of people think that what they're about to do is really detrimental. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They just think if I'm gone, no things will be better without me. So now I want to turn the conversation over now as your clients, as a life coach, or you seeing clients and things of that nature.
Mhm.
What are some of the common issues that you see among? I don't know if you have a diverse team of clients that you see, or is it just specifically Black people? Talk about that experience. What you don't have to name the personal sessions that you're with and stuff like that, but just like
Right.
what are some of the common issues that you see among maybe people of color or Black men that come into your office? What are some of the things that is reoccurring that you see often when they're coming to your office or virtually, whatever?
So my clientele is a little bit diverse, but primarily I've had more so white individuals come into my sessions or want to book sessions, or I've worked with multiple families that are prominently white.
Okay.
And I've had some that are Black, and I'm happy when I see an African American walk in. I'm like, it's rare. I don't see this a lot. So I was like, come on in, because I
Because
want to
that's a
talk.
whole stigma within itself, therapy.
Yes, so I get excited when I see somebody of the same color. I'm just like, oh my God, you're here. Let's talk. Why did it take you so long? So, but I had to
Mhm.
calm myself down. Wait, all right, let me get back to professional therapist mode. But yeah, so my clientele is very diverse, and some of the common things that I see related to their symptoms or just different life struggles is communication skills. Like I said, I specialize in OCD and anxiety, so obsessive compulsive disorder, where people experience intrusive thoughts and they're engaging in very maladaptive, what is it called, ritualistic behaviors. So trying to break them out of that habit and trying to shift their mindset and really get them to understand you don't have to engage in these different compulsions. I know the urge is strong and things of that nature, but there's a way to combat it and fight against it. We're going to do the opposite and tell OCD, no, I'm in control. You're not going to overwhelm me and bring on this overwhelming anxiety to my body, not just physically, but just to my environment in general. So a lot of CBT therapeutic techniques, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy also as well. High levels of anxiety, depression is definitely a big one too. Different mood disorders, ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder. And I've worked with kids with autism, ADHD. Primarily, I've worked with children and adolescents, but I'm also working with the families too, because I have to also coach them and teaching them self-care. I know things are overwhelming. I know you've been dealing with this for some time now, but I want you to also be aware of how you present yourself, how you're coming to these sessions, and just how you're navigating through all of these difficulties with your child, because I don't want you to lash out and become so frustrated that you're doing something that you might do something that you might regret. So take some time for yourself to just really take care of yourself. So I do a lot of parent coaching, family sessions, and it's been an interesting experience. A lot of tears, a lot of emotions. Some of them are highly avoidant of their feelings. So just
Mhm.
teaching them emotional regulation, different communication styles, and how to address certain things. I've even done role playing when it comes to bullying, because that's a big thing with kids nowadays, where the school system is just failing them altogether when it comes to bullying. And so I'm just teaching them different skills and how to really advocate for themselves when it comes to those type of situations.
So I wanted to switch the conversation back over to maybe your Black clientele. What are some of the struggles that you see among them? Is it still depression, suicidal thoughts, or ADHD, or just a lot of mental illnesses going on in their mind? What are some of the What are some of the commonalities that you see among the Black? I don't know if it's just Black guys or Black young boys. It could be whatever you see comes through the door, basically.
So mainly with our Black clientele, it's definitely that high anxiety. Depression would be one of the main ones too. Suicidal ideation, and just not knowing. Oh, there was also I had a couple clients that were nervous because they didn't think there was going to be any Black therapists here in my working with us. So I was like, I'm Black, so here I am. So I guess it's been really difficult and hard for them to find someone like me, who's compassionate and really like someone that advocates and is like, I'm here, I'm hearing you out every single issue that you want to address, whatever you're comfortable with, let me know. And I can try my best to kind of like help you navigate through those different situations, because they're coming in thinking, oh, they're going to judge me and they're probably going to put me onto the white therapist that doesn't really understand me. And there's a lot of racial bias when it comes to like working at different employers. So I try to be what is it called? Culturally sensitive to the person that I'm working with, and making sure that we address some of their concerns, and knowing that this is a Black individual. So it's going to look different how I approach them versus a white person. So I always give them psychoeducation on how I navigate through maybe their own insecurities about them being a Black person, or even biracial people come through my doors and they're just struggling with their identity and just like, I don't know. Some people are bullying me because of my white parents, my Black parents, and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different things that happen. So I get a bunch of different cases when it comes to their symptomatology. And it's like a revolving door where you just never know who you're going to be facing that day. So I just try to prepare myself mentally and try to pray through it and make sure that I'm in the best mindset where I'm able to really give the quality care that I need to the individuals I work with.
All right. We're coming up on time here, but I do thank you for coming. But I do want to ask you two more questions before we go here.
Sure.
I wanted to switch the conversation over to now. What made you want to become a therapist or a life coach in a way? What was that aspiration that kind of led you to get there?
I feel like psychology found me. In some sense, I feel like God aligned it where I knew that my purpose was to help people and really do something that was impactful. I want to leave a mark here when I leave this earth, and that's something big that I've always thought about. And then as I got immersed into psychology and just in the field with working in outpatient settings, partial hospitalization, and just individuals in general, where I'm able to do one-on-one coaching or therapeutic sessions, I've noticed that there in the Black community it's very scarce, where I see a lot of them coming through my doors or wanting to book me for sessions. So I'm like, that's interesting. So me doing my research, I'm just like, what is happening? What's going on? And I'm sure a lot of people know it's very stigmatized, and there's also historical trauma that comes with that. So a lot of people are afraid to come forward and notice that, you know what, I feel like the way I'm navigating through life is very negative. It's not really conducive to my well-being and my mental. So now what am I going to do with it? Am I going to keep suppressing this and not really addressing it and going to to a professional, or will I really seek that help or that professional help and try to be in a more healthier state of mind? So that's what really got me into psychology and want to be a therapist. I'm going back for my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling so that I could become a fully licensed therapist. There's a small percentage of Black therapists and just Black male therapists in general. I believe it's less than 4%.
Hard to find.
It's hard to find them. So I just want to be one of those individuals that fills in that gap, another Black therapist that's out there doing the work and really putting myself in a place where I'm like, all right, I'm cultivating this space where I can provide the best services that I can for you as a Black therapist and as someone that you can identify with, because we're very underrepresented. So I want to be one of those ones that fills in that gap. So that's really what made me want to become a Black therapist or just do this mental health coaching thing.
And we really appreciate you for, taking the time to really be vulnerable with us, because a lot of therapists, like sometimes they might come off as, I'm here to help my client, but I'm not going to share any personal stories about myself and how I got to that. So that's the reason why I asked you, like, what made you want to get into this? Because it has to be a reason why people get into therapy or just become a life coach because they want to help other people to be the best version of themselves. It's something very commendable that I think all people of walks of life should be able to relate to, and specifically Black men. My last question, though, that I want to go before we go, how can people reach out to you if you have any social medias? Because I have a lot of Black friends that maybe might be struggling with their sexuality, or they might be some suicidal thoughts or ADHD. How can we reach out to you if they ever want to become a client?
Yes. So my Instagram is official journey of blue. So that's my Instagram account. Of course, I have my LinkedIn account as well, but my information will be, most of my information is on my website. So that's www.bluelifecoachingllc.com. And again, I just started accepting clients as of yesterday. So I'm officially open for business. I'm LGBTQIA friendly. So all the things. So check me out, and they can book a session whenever they're ready and available.
Well, I do appreciate your time, Gregory, for coming on here, for taking the time out of your day to do this. Please feel free to, continue to message me. I'll post all my links in the description, and I'll continue to follow up with you in case you ever want to come back on.
Absolutely.
I do these shows every weekend. So it's important for me to talk to men of all walks of life, no matter whether they're struggling or they're successful or just struggling or trying to figure out life in between. It's really important for my viewers to see all men of walks of life. So I do appreciate you for coming on here.
Dodging like strays, climbing out the gutter, I am real like the frame. Wrapped in shadow, but they shine like noon. For hearts beating, sink, break the